So yeah, my name is Chris Lefebvre. Just a quick introduction. So outside of being VP of Tapdaq, an ad mediation company, I do a lot of other work in the industry. I've been running the Victoria chapter of the IGDA for the last couple of years. I've been judging and advising the Indie Prize contest as well. I have my own studio called Petty Vindictive. We have a little game in open beta on Google. I'm doing some consulting for Double Jump Games Victoria and mobile PvP publishing, as well as recently, as of tomorrow, became a jury member for the Big Indie Pitch, which is just like a really long, fancy way of saying that I play a lot of games, like upwards of like 2,000 or 3,000 a year, mobile free-to-play games. Right now on my phone, I have a single folder dedicated to beta games, another to all the features, another to top grossing, and then like a couple games I keep on there because I enjoy them. So I play a lot of games, and the whole point of this talk is to share with you some of the things that I've seen in games. It's not really much of a pitch taking place. It's just, here's what I've seen work in games and some of the data to back that up. First question, I guess, what is a top ad strategy? Obviously, the first thing that should happen in top ad strategy is it should produce revenue. You should ideally make some money by serving ads. Otherwise, you're just kind of ruining your game experience for no reason. But it's obviously a little bit more complex than that. There's a lot that goes into producing a top ad strategy. You're going to need volume of ads, which is going to require a lot of downloads. You're going to need people to engage with those ads, and there's going to have to be an inherent engagement metric in your game that you have to pay attention to, like retention. And then on top of that, you need to have a robust economy to make money from your game, period, whether it's from ads or IAP. And a lot of this is outside of your control. If you're an indie developer, obviously you can't necessarily control those features. You're probably playing the lottery every single week, waiting and hoping that you get featured, or you're working with a publisher and losing half that revenue. On the retention side, this is much more under your control, and on the economy side, this is also much more under your control. But ultimately, no matter what aspect that feeds into your ad economy or what your ad economy impacts, there will be things that you can measure. So obviously, like things like with volume, there is store page conversion. There's a lot that you can split test within that. The app icon, the description, all the tips and tricks of ASO are in there. Engagement, there's a whole host of metrics that you can monitor, many of which I've written down here for you. And of course the economy as well. eCPM is something that people tend to fixate quite a bit on. The really smart money focuses on ARPDAU, and of course monitoring your IAP conversion rate alongside that is extremely important. So I'm going to dive in now to just like 5 examples of ads that have basically either have positively impacted at least 2 of these or have avoided negatively impacting, because ultimately an ad strategy should be approached in the same way the doctors approach healthcare, in that they should, as much as possible, avoid harm. It's like one of the ultimate principles of the Hippocratic Oath. Ads will impact your will impact your UX and your overall overall brand of your game in like a potentially negative way, but there are ways to mitigate the damage of that and still make money, and we'll dig into that. So, first example. Has anybody played this game? Orbit? Yeah? Pretty nice, right? Super good game. One-man show, maybe two-man show, and they got a business partner now or whatever. I'm going to show you a little video of what they did, which I think is just genius work. So, for anybody that has played this game is super relaxing. And it's also very casual, which means it's going to rely on forced interstitial ads for most of its money, which is like a fine line to tread when you have such a relaxing game, right? These ads are going to be particularly jarring to the app experience. It doesn't look as relaxing as it actually is, because I've obviously sped up the video. But here we go. Here's the first ad. And then immediately, the developer himself introduces himself and apologizes for serving that ad. This is within the tutorial. This is 3 levels in within the tutorial. Genius move. Right? Immediately. And then obviously he then clicks out into this IAP option, which will then disable said ads. So not only is this good because A, it mitigates any potential damage on retention that those ads might have, B, it allows for volume of ads to exist, and C, it promotes revenue, but it's beyond that, it's like positively impacted his App Store reviews. And one particular example I want to point out, so overall, I mean, like in terms of the total volume of reviews, a 4.5 score is nothing to sneeze at. But also right here, I mean, you can't really see it because this is way smaller than I thought it was going to be. But this guy, Florin, in January of this year, writes, "Good concept. I appreciate the developer being open and honest about pricing." There's no other game where people are like, "Oh, cool, thanks so much for the ad, Chatan," like addressing him by first name. So genius move on his part. But what I think that is smart about that is, as a one-man team, App Store reviews can pretty much like ruin your day. If you wake up and somebody's trashed your game, you're not going to feel super good about yourself. But beyond that, there's obviously like the massive thing to consider in terms of your app store conversion rate, which is so critical. I mean, if you are a one-man team, you can't risk losing people at your app store page. If they actually get there, you want to make sure they actually install your game and get in there. And just to highlight some industry data from Apptentive, in particular, the difference that a 3 to 4 star rating will have on your app store conversion rate, over 89% increase in app store conversions based on that difference from 3 to 4 stars. That 4-star rating is something that you really want to protect. So kudos to him, and so I give him the Good Guy Chitan Award, which is best summarized by this meme. And I think now you're going to kind of get the theme of what's happening here. There's going to be some videos, there's going to be some examples, and then there's going to be some memes. I'm not sure if, like, does anybody know what this is here in Czech Republic? Is this a normal thing? I know in North America we communicate through this medium quite a bit, so I'm just assuming that everyone's like us because I'm from North America, so whatever. Second example, Flippy Knife. This is more of a local shout out than anything else. If anybody doesn't know Beresnev games, they very well should. Who here has played Flippy Knife? Show of hands. Nice. Super fun game, right? I particularly like the music. I find like the music is just something that I can just like sit and listen to all day. So one thing that I really like that these guys did, I'll show you. It's not the banner, just as a spoiler. It's right here. So here they have in-app items that are only unlockable by rewarded video. So here you're creating exclusive content that only can be accessed through watching rewarded ads. And as you see, you need a total of 10 ads to be able to watch, or sorry, you need to watch a total of 10 ads to be able to unlock this particular knife. And then once you have done that, you get it. One thing I do want to point out, though, is there is room for improvement. And I'm going to pause the video if I can, although, oh yeah, here we go. Boom. So these guys know this. They know they need to like eventually, whatever. You guys saw it, right? It was the whole like, you have to wait an hour. So this raises an interesting point. And maybe I shouldn't, I mean, it's more of a local shout out than anything else. There's actually like quite a bit of room for improvement. One, you shouldn't let users watch 6 ads in a row because nobody's making any money off of ads unless people actually click on the ad that's being shown or are installing the product that's being advertised. So you're effectively wasting 6 impressions on absolutely no revenue whatsoever. Also, it was going way too fast. I'm not sure if you saw this. I guarantee that you didn't. But the second ad that was served was a black screen with a 30-second counter. So clearly there's going to be like some tech issues when you're like requesting that many ads over and over and over again. Thirdly, there's the issue that's very obvious, and that's the one of eCPMDK. And I'd like to thank Zoomla for this, for all their data. Their data is amazing, and you should visit their booth and talk to them about their ad LTV data. But yeah, so effectively, it's really cool that there's the content that is exclusively available through rewarded video, and there's definitely people who have already copied this. I'm not sure if you guys have played, what's Ketchup's knife game? Knife Hit? Is that what it's called? It's like top grossing, of course. But they have a whole section of knives that are only unlockable through rewarded video. So yeah, it definitely works. But you want to be careful with your strategies that lead towards volume versus those that lead towards engagement. Nobody can engage with the content of these ads if they're sitting there watching it. And on top of that, if I have to wait an hour before I can watch another ad, what does that do to the rest of the game loop? Something to consider. You probably have other ads, doubling coins, continues, et cetera, but if all of a sudden there's a 1-hour blocker on ads, you're diving into a situation in which your eCPMDK through multiple views is exacerbated considerably. But that said, they still get you get a knife award. And again, I'm not sure if this plays in the Czech Republic, but this is a very popular meme. I don't know, like reasonably popular at least. It's Oprah, so I'm assuming you get it. Number 3. So this, you see, this is moving really fast, right? we're going to help you make up for your lost time from the earlier talk. Wiz Khalifa's weed farm. So what's the take on growing weed in the Czech Republic? In Canada, we're pretty lax about it. In the US, not as much. But anyway, this is a fine example of both the use of rewarded video and advertising in-game, but also the fact that the game itself is an advertisement. And as an example, I just want to show you. So for one, there's a variety of ad placements available. You have your offline earnings, which you can double. It's an idle clicker game, because of course you want to idly be able to grow marijuana. That just makes sense. And of course you see a Homescapes ad. I mean, that's like 90% of what you're going to see. They pay well. So boom, you got your offline earning ad. The second ad, which I think is really cool, is the There we go. View short ad for ×2 profit. And I like how they incorporate the grow lights into that. So again, they're like more than just like having a rewarded video available. They're tying it into like the game theme quite well. But the one I really like is this one right here. Watch a short ad for ×2 profit. So once you watch this ad, you actually unlock a game mode itself, which can only be accessed through the ad. So this is, again, like exclusive content where you're going to be earning twice as much, so they want you to swipe twice as fast. And that's really cool. But more than that, I want to point out that this right here is Wiz Khalifa's dog. And this right here is this poster, and it's also here, the Taylor Gang, or something like that, Taylor Crash Gang. This is Wiz Khalifa's record label. Back there was Wiz Khalifa's car. So for anybody that's worked with IP, you know that like the reason you work with IP is to secure cheaper or higher volume of downloads, which is ultimately going to impact the rest of your funnel all the way down. So in terms of like, how can you make your IP partners happy? Well, one way would be to cross-promote their brand, and Wiz Khalifa is a brand. I don't know for sure, because I wouldn't play this game for long enough to find out, but as you play, you unlock like different strains of marijuana that you can grow, and I'm reasonably confident the last one is the Wiz Khalifa strain, which he indeed has. So yeah, I guess you could say it's a pretty serious integration. Number 2, okay, Iron Marines. Who's played this? Nobody. You know why? Because it's a paid game. You can't tell because it says installed, because I had to buy it to do this for you, so you're welcome. But this is a paid game. And you might be asking yourself, well, what's going on here? I thought this was a talk about ad placements. So did I. So okay, let me just show you what's going on here. The very first thing you see when you boot up this game, actually the video's not quite accurate, but trust me, if you were to go out and spend $5 or $6, you'd find out. The very first thing you're going to see when you boot up this game, it's an RTS game, you know, it did really, really well. But the first thing you're going to see is this, an IAP store menu. Is this anybody else as flummoxed by this as I am? Like this shouldn't be happening, right? Like this is a paid game. Why isn't everything unlocked? And beyond that, they also have a rewarded video placement, which I didn't bother playing long enough to find out because for obvious reasons. But yeah, you can also watch a rewarded video for soft currency there. So the reason I call this I have a hard time saying this, but I'm hoping that like by having the letters be bigger and smaller, you get what I'm trying to say here. They got EA with it. Does anybody remember what happened with the whole Star Wars thing? Yeah, it didn't go so well for EA. But these guys did just fine. Touch Arcade gave them a 5-star review, called it the StarCraft for mobile. Anybody who's played StarCraft can tell you about the longevity of that brand, and being associated with it has its own inherent value. That would be an amazing thing. And even coming up this month, this month, they'll be featured in the Google Play Indie Prize Festival. So 0 negative reaction whatsoever. It's almost as if that this meme perfectly summarizes it. I mean, come on. It's a paid game with ads and IAP, but no, that's totally fine. None of my business. Anyway, oh yeah, I should also state, I don't actually work with any of these games. So whatever issues it is that you have with their ad delivery or display or whatever, has nothing to do with me. I do work with a lot of developers and help them craft ingenious ad strategies, but not on this one. The last one I want to show you, okay, so this is legitimately the best shit I've ever seen in my life. This game was actually self-published late 2017. Subsequently got picked up by a publisher and is now available in open beta. Tapdaq idle clicker game. Pretty straightforward. I'm just gonna show you the video. Well, actually, I'm gonna have to describe it a little bit. So, Bacon Bandit Games out of Winnipeg, Canada. You know, go Canada. Fairly average setup for what you'd expect to see. Right here is an available rewarded video, and right here is the rewarded video tab. And right here it says ad rewards. Every ad you watch contributes towards a ultimate goal that you unlock after watching X amount of rewards. So here I go, I watch an ad, and ingeniously it's also for an idle game, and that could be a whole talk unto itself, but it's worthy to, so anyway, okay, I should pause this. That's presentation mode, I don't know. But anyway, basically, right here, it says increase all helper damage by 50%, 1 out of 3. So after watching 3 ads, you're going to unlock an increased level of gameplay, but you can also finish it for hard currency. Have you seen any other idle game do this? Anybody? No, of course you haven't, because it's the first time. So obviously a genius play towards engagement. Engagement is the #1 thing you have to fight against when you're serving a rewarded video. You know, you present the opportunity to watch an ad. Does somebody say yes? No? 70%, 60% of the time, they don't care. You know, it's just there's no value to them. But you give them this longer term reward to chase down, then yeah, they might. And if they don't want to, but they see that longer term value and they can spend hard currency to get it, then you're doing a lot to improve your IAP, which obviously is like fundamental in terms of implementing your rewarded video. You know, rewarded video, while it's great as an ad source on its own, can actually be used not only to extend session time and like increase the opportunity in which users are considering whether or not they should spend in game, but also encourage them to interact with that hard currency a little bit or present opportunities to spend that hard currency. So this is data presented by Tapdaq. I mean, they're an ad network, so you know they're going to say that rewarded video does a lot for IP, but it does. It absolutely does. So I gave these guys the yo dog meme, which I think makes sense. And I mean, that's going to take a while to read, but it basically just says, you know, rewards in video, like over and over again, which is basically what that game presented. So okay, so some predictions based on this information that we've all collectively digested really quickly together. Here's a couple of predictions for you in the future. One, personally, I think indie developers in particular are a little shy about forced ads, even though it tends to be like a larger portion of their revenue. I think people are going to become less shy about it. But I think that people are going to become increasingly personalized in their attempts to mitigate that damage. And I will go so far as to predict that a developer will flat out tell their users that they can avoid those ads using airplane mode. In fact, if nobody else does it, I might. But they are going to create an economy so robust that people will stay in airplane mode. I mean, look at Bowmasters, for example, actually. I mean, that's already happened, so it's not much of a prediction. But here you have a PvP game that requires connectivity, and you're going to get spammed with ads relentlessly unless you buy out of it or whatever. But people just take it. So prediction 1. Prediction 2, service as a service. Not software as a service, and ad tech and everything is always like putting SDKs and talking about all the differences in their SDK versus the other, blah, blah, blah. Service as a service. And I think this is particularly important because you have indie games like Flippy Knife who are like, cool, if I just put this ad here and let somebody watch it 10 times, that's ultimately good. But it's not quite that good. It's a good initiative from a developer perspective. But properly managed, you could actually do a lot more with it. So I think you're going to see a lot more companies present themselves as sort of ad managers. Not only managing the design of ad strategies, which I do, so I guess there's a bit of a pitch here, but also managing the relationships with the networks, ensuring that they're as competitive as possible and things like that. And as it happens, a couple of the examples I shared with you were the result of an ad management service, but I won't tell you which. You have to find out for yourself. In-house IP development. So we've already seen such massive scale of mergers with like Marvel, Disney, Fox, whatever else is in that conglomeration. I guarantee you this year, I don't guarantee it, but this year I predict you will see probably that very same conglomeration buy a studio to make all their games in-house. Why wouldn't they? I mean, really, what's stopping them? Maybe they'll buy a good game. I don't know. Are you guys for sale? 4, this is my last one. Rewarding users for forced ads. This I know is going to happen because I'm working with a developer on it right now. So we've seen like this whole like meta reward system where you're giving users rewards for watching a bunch of ads and all that kind of stuff. That works great in an IAP dominant game where IAP is still 70 to 80% of your revenue. But in more casual arcade games where you're reliant on that forced ad, and that forced ad is going to be 70 to 80% of your revenue. It's the flip side of what happens in IAP heavy games. You're going to see people giving rewards for multiple instances of forced ads. So basically, it's like you're playing a little high score chaser. There's actually a really cool game that I'm working with right now called Serious Scramblers. So it's not so much of a prediction, I guess, as a reveal, in all fairness, but other people will do it too. Working with a game called Serious Scramblers. It's like super fun arcade game. You're going to die multiple times, like think Super Meat Boy or whatever. But after like every single time, it'll show you, okay, well, you're 1 out of 20 ads away from getting this premium reward. Now you're 2 out of 20, now you're 3 out of 20. Think about what that will do for retention and engagement. Like, are you as likely to like die, close the game, spam the poor guy's app store page with a shitty review just because he has to like make a little bit of money because he wanted to make a game? So yeah, these are my, I guess, predictions or presumptions. I don't know, one of the two for sure, maybe a blend. And that's it. Really quick, right? What was that, like 10 minutes?